3 years into the arranged marriage, my husband and I had met exactly once. 3 years later, Adrian came home. I wadded through the front door with a food baby. He demanded, "I was gone 3 years and you cuckolded me?" I didn't get a chance to explain. He barked, "Have it. Birth it. I'll find out whose bravado dares to shame me." I'd planned to clarify, but the perks of his misunderstanding were simply too lavish. 10 months later he stared at my flat stomach. 10 months, why hasn't it arrived? I shrugged. If I told you I was just stuffed, not pregnant, would you believe me? After indulging, I slipped inside same as always. Maybe I'd partied too hard, my stomach ached. I'd worn a body-hugging top, the curve unmistakable. One hand cradled my belly, the other braced my lower back, miserable. Woo-woo. At the click of the lock, Adrian looked up. Seeing my pose and the bulge, his eyes churned with unreadable storms. "You, pregnant?" The man on the sofa nearly scared my soul out of my body. Who could blame me? A husband absent 3 years suddenly ghosts back without a whisper. Anyone would assume a zombie resurrection. Before a squeak escaped, his question swallowed it whole. Huh? I blinked. What kind of line was that? Had I walked into the wrong script? Before I could react, he slammed the coffee table and stood. I leave for 3 measly years and you're expecting? Adrian laughed in fury, "Deliver it. I'll see who dares to cuckold me." I stood dumbfounded, brain smoking. "Come here. Sit. You're pregnant and still gallivanting?" He strode over, eyes razored like a hawk. I braced for a slap, instead he produced a sleek card. "Take this. Carry my child in comfort." The explanation died on my tongue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't leave. Getting paid to be pregnant? Jackpot. When I stayed frozen, he frowned. Not enough? He flicked another card onto the rug. "Both are yours, 60 pin, keep yourself pristine." I clutched the plastic like a lifeline. Now you couldn't pry the truth out of me with a crowbar. Call me shameless. Yes, I'd been a Vance heiress, but my allowance was starvation-level etiquette fund cash. My sole purpose, marital merger value. After the vows Adrian wired monthly support, every dollar I funneled into my startup. If the tycoon ever ditched me, I needed a parachute. Free money falling from the sky? I'd be an idiot to duck. Watching me pocket the cards, Adrian tasted something sour. "When it's born, we'll settle accounts," he warned. Cards secured, I nodded meekly. "Does the father know?" "Who?" Still adjusting to my phantom maternity. "The sperm donor." I shook my head. No clue. Adrian's irritation cracked his voice. "Planning to hide it from the planet?" I scratched my nose. "Could work." A bathroom burp, did it need a press release? "You." He inhaled. "He won't step up?" Interrogated into silence, I wept internally. Who should answer, hot pot, barbecue, or crawfish? My mute act stoked his fire. What attitude? "He owes responsibility." "Definitely owes," I muttered. Daily they seduced me, tears of longing dribbled from my lips. My rare reply doused a few sparks. "No one hears of this pregnancy. I won't be Eastbrook's joke." I bobbed my head. Next dawn Eastbrook yanked me from bed at dawn. The bland breakfast on the table looked like the apocalypse. I shot Adrian a heart-rending stare. He sipped soy milk, calm. "It's your bland prenatal menu. Eat." I whimpered, "Where's my spicy rice noodle bowl? My braised beef ramen? My chili crisp?" Sans heat, food is corpses. Forget it. You're pregnant, think of the baby. I can't. I'll cry. Facing that flavorless health slop, I felt like a banished concubine, soul deleted. Adrian's cool lips parted. Finish breakfast, earn $100,000 stipend. I snapped upright. For real? His mouth curved, eyes glinting, like teasing a cat with a treat. Swallow every bite, the money's yours. Daily? I squeaked. He dabbed his lips. Every single day. Deal. Instantly the slop tasted ambrosial. He watched me wolf it down, own mood lifting. Standard applies. Sneak junk, lose cash. Crap, he'd found my kill switch. Smuggled hot pot fantasies died on the vine. Damn capitalist. When I'd scraped the bowl, he handed me a napkin. Wipe. Walk the manicured gardens, digest. Mandatory? Mandatory. For you and the baby. I trudged like a snail. Adrian skimmed documents, glancing out. 10 minutes, less than 10 yards. He massaged his temples. Invalid or pregnant? At this speed, sunrise to midnight won't circle the fountain. I inched another step. Tired. Your suggestion? I aimed starlight eyes at him, pleading for bed. Up close, lashes long, irises shimmering, undeniably pretty. Adrian gave a soft cough, took 2 steps back, and looked away. Playing cute won't work. Move it. I blinked. I wasn't playing cute. Seeing my utterly innocent face, Adrian didn't know whether to be angry or amused. Can't you walk a few extra steps for the baby's sake? I shuffled forward reluctantly. Watching me take 2 steps and pause, he sighed in defeat and walked over. 20 minutes, 3 laps, $100,000 stipend. For a second it felt like Nez's flaming wheels had slammed under my feet, my stride turned light and brisk. Deal, deal, let's go, let's go. In under 10 minutes I finished all 3 laps. I bounced up to him, eyes sparkling with expectation. Seeing me drenched in sweat yet glowing with excitement, Adrian fought a laugh. What's the rush? It's not going anywhere. He pulled out his phone and wired the $100,000. Watching the new balance appear, I couldn't flatten my grin no matter how hard I tried. Had I literally fallen into a cash vault? My eyes crinkled into crescents, and for some reason Adrian's mood lifted right along with them. I was panicking now. Adrian wanted to give me a physical. No way. The moment he checked, he'd realize I wasn't pregnant. I clamped both hands around the one holding his phone. No need. Don't call. He tugged, I didn't let go. His brows drew together, voice turning severe. We're doing it. It's for your health and the baby's. I was near tears. There was no way I'd let the money I'd scraped together with this pregnancy slip away. I already had a checkup. Both me and the baby are perfect. You're sure? Suspicion flickered in his eyes. Since he'd eased up, I pushed harder. Really, really. If you drag a doctor over, won't that expose the fact I cuckolded you? I had to shut this down fast. My constant blocking raised his doubts, but he didn't show it. Fine. He set the phone down. I exhaled in secret relief. Thank heavens I'd bluffed him off. That night, after I fell asleep, Adrian launched a quiet investigation. It didn't take long. Every move I'd made in the past 3 years, every person I'd met, lay in front of him in minute detail. Reading the file, Adrian almost smashed the laptop. Serena did nothing but eat and sleep, the same 3 dull routes every single day. How could she be pregnant? So the woman had simply come back that day with a food baby. He'd assumed she was expecting. Why hadn't she corrected him? Adrian replayed the scene in his head. He realized I had started to explain, but the instant his black card touched my fingers I'd swallowed the words. These past days had proved one thing: Serena was money drunk. wave cash, and she'd agree to anything. So, he'd paid to solidify the illusion of being cuckolded? He had never felt so stupid. Forget it, he told himself. Jumping to the conclusion that his own wife cheated was his mistake, a fat financial apology was only fair. Thinking of how he'd flown out right after the wedding, a rare pang of guilt surfaced. Meanwhile, asleep upstairs, I had no clue a $10 million wire had just landed in my account. Adrian had no intention of exposing me. He would wait and see how. 10 months later, I explained the missing baby. Yawning, I trudged downstairs. Adrian was on the couch with a folder. When he saw me, a half-smile hooked his mouth. He only dropped it once I reached the bottom step. There's a banquet tonight. You're coming with me. I woke up a bit. Huh? Can I skip it? He glanced up, tone absolute. No. Mandatory. I cupped my belly, pitiful. I'm pregnant, I shouldn't overtire. Adrian set the file aside, eyes gleaming with tease. Oh? Wasn't someone bragging yesterday about perfect health? I rubbed my nose, guilty. Seeing that, his gaze turned playful. Attend the gala, I'll give you 55. Done. Watching my cash-hungry face, Adrian felt helpless. 7 sharp, we leave. I gave him a sorry look. No gown, no jewels, no stylist. Suddenly I felt tragic. Apparently I lacked every basic amenity a society wife was supposed to have. I'd completely forgotten the 1,800 square foot dressing suite upstairs. As if he'd expected the complaint, Adrian said, "Eat first, everything'll be ready this afternoon." I nodded, satisfied. Adrian chuckled under his breath. This woman was oddly entertaining. "What are you laughing at?" I asked. He wiped the smile, dead serious. "Nothing. Eat." Okay. At 7 that evening I descended in a black gown and 8-figure jewels. Adrian's eyes flickered with surprise. His contract bride was, actually stunning. I twirled once, smug. Well? Arm candy level, right? Adrian cleared his throat, hiding the sudden kick in his heartbeat. Tolerable. I sniffed, convinced the man needed an eye exam. Whatever, into the car I went. Adrian followed with a helpless shake of his head. Inside the Grand, we drew instant attention. The Vanceres back, and he brought his wife? Married and flown offshore the same day, guess he really loathes this arranged marriage. Adrian's step hitched, he threw me a complicated look. I didn't care. After 3 years of whispers, one more round wouldn't dent me. Soon Adrian leaned close. I've got meetings. Stay near the buffet, don't wander. I nodded and beelined for the food. Watching me go, he turned to work the room. I was blissfully parked by the desserts when trouble glided over. Morrow, Chloe. She'd once chased Adrian for ages, only to watch the Vance family pick me. Ever since, she's shot me daggers, snide jabs, little sabotages. They never land, sometimes I even find her kind of adorable. Chloe lifted her chin, contempt dripping. You actually showed? Doesn't Adrian despise you? Who says? Look, 30 million sweet, right here. I casually flashed the diamond swanning across my collarbones. She was getting angry. Could you have a little self-respect? Adrian only married you because his family forced him, he never loved you. I forked a bite of cake into my mouth and nodded vaguely. Sure, whatever you say. Seeing that oil and water wouldn't mix, Chloe dropped her voice to a hiss. Do yourself a favor and get away from Adrian, or else. I'd heard that line from her at least 800 times if not 1,000. Okay, you're the best, I said, brushing her off. Chloe was about to add something when a man strode over and cut her off. Vance, the CEO doesn't even like you. With a face like that, wasting it on him is practically a crime. I frowned at this sudden, greasy idiot. He kept going. Why not divorce him and come with me? I'd say I match him in looks and power, no contest. Buddy, have you looked at your beer gut? Interrupted, Chloe saw red. Who the hell are you? The man ignored her, eyes burning into me. I was 2 seconds from nausea. Now Chloe forgot about me, she only wanted to teach this delusional jerk a lesson. As he leaned closer, I caught sight of Adrian wrapping up a deal and walking back. I forced out 2 glittering tears and cooed, hubby. Adrian had been heading straight for me, but the word hubby made his foot slip, he nearly stumbled. Recovering, he took in the scene and his face went arctic. I scampered over, clutching the hem of his jacket, pitiful on the outside, scheming on the inside. Teach him a lesson. If he stresses me into a miscarriage, everyone will know you've been cuckolded. Where would the great CEO's face go then? Adrian laughed silently. The woman was quite the actress. When he didn't move, I yanked him hard. Hurry, my stomach's already cramping. He swallowed a chuckle and played along. Baby, what's wrong? I pitched my voice honey sweet. Hubby, I was just eating when this guy walked up, said you don't love me, and I broke off, buried my face in his chest and pretended to sob. Adrian's body locked, feeling her softness, his heart kicked faster. He patted my back, secretly amused, and kept the show running. There, don't cry. I'm here. I swiped at tears that didn't exist and choked out, he even told me to divorce you and be his mistress, woo-woo. Looking down at the trembling woman, Adrian thought, such a waste she's not in Hollywood. Don't worry, sweetheart, I'm not divorcing you. No more tears. He lifted his gaze to the man. You hit on my wife right in front of me and ask her to be your plaything, bold move. The guy had heard Adrian couldn't care less about his arranged bride, and being a spoiled trust fund punk, he'd charged over the moment my face dazzled him. Never had it crossed his mind that Adrian would defend me. Now he was sheet white. I misunderstood, Vance, he stammered. I only wanted to be friends with Vance. Adrian sneered, arm tightening around me. You're not worthy. Fearing a riot, the host snapped for security to haul the idiot out. Whoever invited that moron deserved a memo. You don't provoke Adrian, the living god of wrath. Even without Adrian, did the clown really think the Vance heiress groomed from birth was within his reach? The host cursed his luck and rushed over with a smile. Vance, my apologies for the fright. This necklace suits you perfectly, please accept it as my regret. I took it. He exhaled in relief. After the gala, Adrian pulled me to the car without a word. Chloe watched us leave, loneliness flashing in her eyes. She'd assumed Adrian didn't love Serena and she still had a chance. Now she realized she'd misread everything. I crept closer to Adrian in the back seat. Are you mad? No, he said flatly, no emotion leaked through. Really? Adrian stared out the window. After a beat he asked, when I was overseas, did people treat you like that a lot? I blinked, surprised he'd bring it up. My silence told him enough. He drew a long breath and turned to me. Actually, it's nothing, I said. They gossip behind my back, nobody's stupid enough to say it to my face. Doesn't affect me. A tangle of feelings, guilt, heartache, something nameless, rose in him. Sorry. Huh? I hadn't expected an apology. I left you alone to face that. It was short-sighted, he said. Won't happen again. The mood felt weirdly intimate, too intimate. Luckily the manor gates loomed. The car stopped, Adrian got out first and opened my door like a gentleman. Something felt off. The second my heels hit gravel I speed-walked inside. He followed, watching my fleeing back with an amused smile. I dove behind the sofa, putting furniture between us. He ambled over and sat down, grin widening. I'm turning in. Night. I bolted upstairs. Night. Adrian was in the study on a call. A clown like that doesn't just wander into a charity auction and zero in on my wife. Sir, the Vance has already acted. Understood. He ended the call, brow lifted. He hadn't expected me to strike back. Had I been there, I'd have rolled my eyes. Of course I moved. A Vance heiress who can't swat a fly might as well abdicate. I'd phoned Richard the moment I got home, spotlighting the word divorce. My profit-minded father would bury the fool under lawsuits. Days slid by. Adrian had been back 2 months. My old schedule, up at dawn's second yawn, pass out at sunrise, was history. He dragged me into daylight, even exiled hot pot and bubble tea fixes. But my bank balance kept climbing, and fat numbers make a girl fearless. Especially now that I was sure Adrian wouldn't lay a finger on me, I strutted around the manor like I owned 2 of everything. So this morning I'm on strike. I will sleep until the sun is high enough to tan my pillow. Adrian had been in the study handling work when Hayes knocked. Young master, madam still isn't up, breakfast is getting cold. At her words his brows drew together. He set the folder down and headed for my bedroom. I was burrowed under the duvet, dead to the world. He stepped in and gently tapped my shoulder. Serena, time to get up and eat. Half asleep, I rolled over, presented him with my back, and muttered, no. Adrian sighed. Stay in bed and today's allowance disappears. Eyes still shut, I said, fine, let it go. I was flush with cash anyway, missing a day or 2 wouldn't matter. When even money failed, he had a headache. Clearly he'd spoiled me these past 2 months, bribery no longer worked. I was drifting off again when 2 strong arms hoisted me up. He carried me into the bathroom and parked me at the vanity. Jerked awake, I glared. What are you doing? Brush, wash, then downstairs for breakfast. He uncapped the toothbrush, squeezed paste, and lifted it to my lips. I ignored it and started back to bed. Adrian snaked an arm around my waist, pinning me. So, you're almost 5 months along, how come there's no bump? Out of options, he hoped reminding me I was pregnant would make me eat. In an instant I was alert, I'd almost blown it. I already saw the doctor, some women don't show. Thank heaven for that excuse, otherwise I'd never sell it. Then I remembered I hadn't left the house in 2 months, when exactly had this checkup happened? He didn't expose the lie, just offered the toothbrush again. Now, wash up and come down, okay? I grabbed it and scrubbed fast. As long as he dropped the subject, anything was fine. 4 months from now, when no baby arrived, I'd be rich enough to cope, I'd deal with it then. For now, stall for time. Sometimes I really think Adrian is generous. Even suspecting the baby might be someone else's, he still pampers me, best food, best clothes, more cash than before he left. When I finally trudged downstairs and ate, he exhaled in relief and vowed not to indulge me so much again. Pregnant or not, my schedule is a disaster. The moment the plates were cleared I tried to sneak back upstairs for a nap. Adrian read my mind and caught my wrist. Where do you think you're going? Bedroom, I answered honestly. He stood. Today you're coming to Vance with me. I balked. It's so far. His tone brooked no argument. Be good. Don't make me repeat myself. His wife had been moldy at home for 2 months, sunshine was mandatory. No, I'm sleepy. Seeing me play possum, he surrendered partly. Come quietly and I'll take you to the charity auction the day after tomorrow, pick anything you want. My eyes sparked. Let's go, let's go. Adrian ushered me into Vance and drew every gaze. Someone asked, Vance, this is? My wife, he answered. What a perfect match, the man flattered. Strangely, Adrian liked the sound of that. I sat in his office forever and died of boredom, so I draped myself across his desk. He paused, amused. Bored already? I gave a miserable hum. Just then his assistant delivered a mountain of folders. I sighed, being CEO is brutal. The next second he planted the stack in front of me. Your morning assignment, read all of these. My eyes bulged. Was Vance so broke he had to draft the CEO's wife for grunt work? With a straight face he said, these are current projects. Skim first, ask me after. I wailed, no, impossible, I'll lose my mind. He wheeled over a chair, tucked me into it, flipped open a file, and placed it before me. I gave him tearful puppy eyes, praying for mercy. Unmoved, he said, get cracking, I'll quiz you later. Defeated, I picked up the file. While he worked he'd glance across, oddly cheerful. He knew she ran side ventures, a little schooling wouldn't hurt. I muttered under my breath, evil capitalist. He only chuckled. Isn't this capitalist buying you presents? Capitalist? I had no comeback. Fine, call it even. After ages of reading I saw double and collapsed on the blotter. Hearing the thud, he looked up, sighed, and carried me into his private lounge. Hunger woke me, he was still at his desk. Without looking he said, awake? I'll have my assistant order lunch, or pick whatever you want. You haven't eaten either? Still a few contracts left. Watching him grind nonstop made me uneasy. I don't care, you're eating with me. I've never been here, I'll get lost. He closed the file, came over, and bent toward me. Let's go, capitalist's wife. Auction day. Adrian dressed up so sharply I could hardly look. Funny how I'd never noticed my bargain husband was, actually hot. The moment bidding started an imperial jade suite caught my eye. Adrian bought it without even checking my face. When rivals jumped in, he casually ran it to 300 million. From then on, anything I glanced at, he claimed. The money flying out made my heart ache. Happy now? He murmured. I nodded like a woodpecker. After the auction I behaved for ages, whatever Adrian said, I obeyed. Partly because he'd spent so much my conscience hurt, and partly because my secret investments had started turning profits. Adrian finally relaxed, free of worry I'd stir fresh trouble. One day I visited the Vance estate and came back silent, heading straight upstairs. Adrian frowned and ordered someone to investigate. Vance, Madam went home today and had a huge fight with her family, her father even slapped her. When Adrian heard the report, he almost laughed in sheer rage. Ever since Serena had married him, except for the 3 years he'd been overseas, he had spoiled and coaxed her, never letting a single hair on her head be harmed. One trip back to the Vance estate, and she comes home slapped? He sat on the sofa, knuckles digging into his temples. The moment he'd walked through the door replayed on loop in his skull, the anger building with every frame. He dialed his father-in-law. Son-in-law? Adrian's voice was ice. She was wronged in your house? Richard knew exactly what this was about. That child Serena, she's been overindulged. Adrian cut him off. Richard, she is my wife. Richard froze. My wife. My person. No one touches her, Adrian snarled, fury vibrating in every syllable. Richard went silent. He hadn't expected Adrian to call on behalf of the daughter he'd always treated as an afterthought. I've been thinking about the West End project. The Vance family isn't the right partner after all. Richard understood the warning. He'd assumed the marriage was only a merger, emotionless, so he'd kept disciplining his daughter the way he always had. Now, for the dynasty's future, his attitude would have to change. Rest assured, son-in-law, it won't happen again. Adrian hung up, hesitated, then stalked upstairs to my room anyway. He sat on the edge of the bed. Seeing the handprint on my cheek, a pang of pure ache knifed through him. "Does it hurt?" "No," I mumbled. He tipped my chin gently and smoothed my hair. "Your eyes are swollen shut and you still say it doesn't hurt." I said nothing and burrowed deeper under the quilt so he couldn't see. I still said nothing. Adrian felt helpless, he'd never had to comfort anyone before. After a moment he simply scooped me up, cradled me against his chest, and murmured, "It's my fault." "Why are you holding me?" I whispered. For us, the gesture was almost indecently intimate. His body locked, only then did he realize how closely he'd wrapped me. But he didn't let go. He patted my back like soothing a child. "You were wronged because of me. I'll have the lawyers draft an equity transfer, 10% of my shares. No one will dare touch you again." He brushed the tears from my lashes. "So don't cry anymore, okay?" Maybe it was the day's hurt, maybe something else entirely, but I burst into fresh sobs in his arms. Adrian simply held me, letting me soak his shirt, stroking my back again and again until exhaustion dragged me under. He stayed beside me long after, making sure I was truly asleep before he dared leave. Yet when he finally lay down, sleep wouldn't come. He realized he'd started caring too much about the wife this marriage had handed him. He couldn't stand seeing her bullied, couldn't stand her tears. He gave a soft, self-mocking laugh. "I'm screwed." Next morning, when I came downstairs, Adrian pushed the share transfer document across the table. "Here. Sign." I stared. "You're serious? This is equity, actual money." He offered the pen, gaze steady. "Every cent is yours." I darted over and signed before he could change his mind. From then on, I lived the dream of counting cash until my fingers cramped. Adrian indulged me more every day, I practically rode piggyback on his patience. Our boundaries blurred, and half the time I didn't even notice the intimacy anymore. Adrian watched it happen with satisfaction. Once he'd identified what he felt, he began laying his siege, making sure his place in my heart grew larger, heavier. Time breezed by until the 10th month of my fake pregnancy. I'd been living so lavishly I'd clean forgotten the whole charade. Adrian hadn't. Seeing how deeply he now sat in my heart, he decided it was time to press his advantage. I was sprawled on the sofa admiring the bracelet he'd just brought me when he leaned over. "Darling, it's been 10 months and your belly hasn't twitched. Did you conceive Neza in there?" My smile froze, reality crashed back. Right, I was supposed to be pregnant. "Still waiting to see who'll dare cuckold me," he drawled. I swallowed, guilty. He moved closer, breath brushing my lips. "Shall we visit the hospital for a checkup?" Too close. I inched away. Finally, I caved, I couldn't stand the interrogation. Besides, I was filthy rich now, untouchable. I spoke in the tiniest voice. "Hypothetically, if I said I was never pregnant, just bloated from lunch, would you believe me?" Adrian's face darkened instantly. I shrank. "You jumped to conclusions yourself. I never claimed I was pregnant. I should be the one mad at you for false accusations." Seeing real fear in my eyes, Adrian dropped the menacing act. "I know." I blinked. "Huh? I've always known." "Did you honestly think you could fool me with something that obvious?" I was dumbstruck. "Then why didn't you expose me?" He pinched my cheek. "Because the way you pout and play cute is downright irresistible." He lifted me and carried me to his room. I blinked up at him, clueless. Adrian leaned over, a lazy smile curving his mouth. "Darling, since you deceived me for so long, don't you think you owe me payment?" I squeaked, "What kind of payment?" He answered with actions rather than words, lowering his body over mine. Let's turn fiction into fact. Let's make you mine. Middle of the night. Adrian, you bastard. He dragged me back under him. One last time. Tomorrow I'll transfer every last share to you. I stopped struggling. So from now on you work for me? He pressed deeper. Exactly. My future income depends on my wife's generosity. I cursed. You planned this. From now on I'm kept by my wife. He said nothing more, devoted entirely to proving his point. Late night. After he hauled me back yet again, I lost it. Adrian, if I ever trust you again I'm a damn dog. Thanks for listening to tonight's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, please like and share it with friends. We can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.